Defense came out swinging, and they were missing a player. Rice was not able to go on day 2 of minicamp, but it's all right. We're going to tell you why right now on Locked On Chiefs.
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome back in Chiefs Kingdom here on a live version of Locked On Chiefs with me. I'm Ryan Tracy, the founder of Rogue Analytics and Performance Consulting, NFL 33, and RGR Football, and my partner, Chris Clark, where you can find over at KC Chiefs Corner. Don't miss any of those. Thanks for making us your first listen. Check out another Locked On show for your next listen, because there's plenty of them, because we're here for you every day, all the time, 5 days a week, all year long. You can always find us on audio and on video here on YouTube, where you can like and sub and do the things. If you want that much more, breaking news, make sure you get on the text line at 816-357-8781, where all the locos hang out. They are our everydayers, and we appreciate you guys. We've been doing this for 9 years, and you guys keep coming back, and we very much appreciate it. We do it for you, and we couldn't do it without you, to tell you the truth. So thanks to you. We are going to have a fun show. What comes next? Tomorrow's going to be a tough day out at Chiefs training facility, so be careful there. Before that, we get to who was not able to go. Did include Rashid Rice, and we will have an update for you there. But we start on what the day's activities actually produced, and that was a lot of positive plays for the defense. I think this is probably typical this time of year. In my opinion, defense is always a little bit more instinctual, able to jump into the fire a little bit quicker. This is a thick offensive playbook that always takes a little bit of time to adjust to. And so it doesn't surprise me that on just day 2 of having everyone, quote unquote, in the room, maybe not on the field, but in the room, that the defense came out a little bit stronger on top. You had some takeaways. You had some PBUs. Players that stood out did include quite a long list, which always makes me happy, especially when we're talking about the defensive side. Tranquil got his hands on one. Brian Cook had a nice breakup as well. Mike Edwards getting in the action, because Mike Edwards knows where he's supposed to be. That's a pretty good day for the non-front players in this defense against Mahomes and the offensive guys.
Yeah, and I think the other part of that plays into that is you're looking at guys that are learning a new scheme. Offensively, they're learning new plays. They're trying to get down their technique and get down and get out of their routes and into their routes properly, and the QBs are not all on the same page with the wide receivers. So all of that is to say you don't get to play instinctual football when it comes to offense. You can go out and play in the backyard, and it sounds like Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce did a little bit of that, and that was what led to Drew Tranquil's breakup. But at the same time, you're in a situation where mostly you're trying to get on the same page with your guys, and so it doesn't surprise me that there's going to be a couple more defensive plays. And quite frankly, the other side of it is you want the defense to be making plays. Because the scheme hasn't really changed, and generally speaking, most of the starters are going to be the same.
Yeah, you're going to roll in some younger guys. Nolan Williams had a pretty good day 1 of mandatory camp, so that always helps. But it does kind of shade towards the veterans here. And this is just a tune-up. This is just a couple of days that you get the vets out there to get them kind of rolling and see where they are in terms of their shape, in terms of their conditioning, what they've been doing so far this offseason. It feels like it was just yesterday in the Super Bowl, but it has been multiple months that we're talking about. And a lot of rumor going around with Travis Kelce. He shows up, and he did thwart those rumors that I talked about yesterday. If you guys missed it with Matt Derrick, go back there. Not down 25 pounds, but he is lighter, and I still think that's a good thing for his coming season.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly what you want to hear, because he's lighter. He's going to be a little bit more nimble and be able to move a little bit better this season. And at his age, you have to be taking care of your body the proper way, and he has been in the league long enough. He knows what he needs to do in that regard. So, more power to him in that regard. You look at what this is going to mean for the entire team, and it's just a matter of you've got to get going in the right direction. You got to get guys on the same page. And, we've talked, the defense has had a couple of good days or a couple of good snaps today. Offense had a little bit day 1. We'll see what happens day 3, but the whole point and everything that you want to work towards right now is getting just a little bit better every single day, getting your technique down, getting, knowing your offensive moves or your offensive, the things you need to do on offense, the things you need to do on defense. That's all that's really mattering when you get down and break it down when it comes to minicamp.
You have to take it one step at a time, right? And that's building upon building upon building, and that makes perfect sense. When you get to this point, You are trying to get through this camp, A, injury-free. That's goal number one. And two, with a better understanding of what your job is come training camp. For me, like this mandatory camp is great for us to get a little bit of an idea of where players are at. I know the fan base, some season ticket holders were out there yesterday, get to see a little bit. Tomorrow they'll probably run a little bit of offensive tempo. I'm guessing more like a 10-10-10. And then it's the conditioning test. And it's hey, get your guts ready to see if you can hold on to them. But it's all about tuning up so that whatever you're lacking now, you can go away and kind of prepare for what's going to happen come late July, early August, when you have to roll back into St. Joe and it's even hotter than it is now.
Yeah, and it's going to be extremely hot. I think the dates just came out today. The Chiefs are reporting July 21st. Have fun with that. That is not going to be a fun time to be in St. Joe. It is not a pleasant experience when you're there. That even with the practices being early in the morning, it's going to be hot. It's going to be humid. And you're going to have players that are going to lose their lunch. That's just the reality of it. I mean, go back. We're going to talk about the guy in the next segment, but Rashid Rice, his rookie year, lost his lunch because he wasn't ready for the heat. And it's going to happen to other players. That's okay. It's going to take an adjustment. They'll get there. But right now, you're just trying to figure out, okay, what do I need to work on between now and then? Because some of these guys are going to be going, well, you hope most of these guys are going to be going away and working on things. Yeah, they'll take time off, and that's absolutely necessary and it's needed. Don't get me wrong. But they're going to be working on things. They're going to work on technique. They're going to work on learning the playbook and everything else like that. They're going to be working out. If you want to play in the NFL, this is a year-round job. And yes, you get time off. Yes, you're going to have this next month and a half, basically, or basically a month at this point. I think about it, it's barely going to be a month because July 21st is a month away.
Yeah,
and they'll have to be right back on the field, and then they're not really going to have a break until hopefully after the Super Bowl.
If you've never heard the phrase that the NFL is year-round, well, welcome to it. It is definitely something that has to be survived, is probably the best way to put it, especially if you're in that rookie class. A lot of them are going to have some significant adjustments to go through. I'm not so sure about Omar coming from Tennessee, and where you start training camps in August as well. Louisville for Gelati, okay, maybe that helps. But there's going to be adjustments. Some of the defensive players made plays today because of who wasn't out there. We're going to get to them coming up next. Did you ever open your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, entertainment, it's easy to lose track. And that's where Monarch Money comes in. It's your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, investments, spending all in one place, so that you can stop managing your money and start building your wealth. Everything is in one spot. It's super convenient. You don't have to do multiple apps. You can go one place and get everything done that you need to know for your finances. Take control of those finances with Monarch Money. Use our code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off of your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNFL, all one word, for half off your first year. Now, everybody has an opinion. You can get Chris's at KC Chiefs Corner. You can get mine at NFL 33 and RGR Football. A lot of extra content coming for you, but you always have us here on Locked On. So make sure that you hit the thumbs up, make sure you subscribe, et cetera, et cetera. Now, there's nothing scarier than maybe turning around to find Mike Pennell literally in your face. Travis Kelce experienced that today. Not sure he wants to relive that, but not every player goes through that. There were a number of players that were not available today. And it headlined with Rashid Rice. It is a personal day, as we understand. Not sure what that connotation is. That's not very detailed. But from where he's looked so far in this process, I'm not terribly concerned about him missing this particular day. We'll see if he's back for the conditioning test in specifics. But how does it make you feel about Rice and where he's at?
I'm a little surprised that he's not there, but obviously, if it's a personal day, who knows? Maybe he's sick. Maybe he had something that was scheduled for court. Who knows what it is at this point? I don't want to speculate what it is. I would be interested to see. I'm going to be very interested to see if he's back out on Thursday. If he's there for Thursday, then short-term deal, no big deal. But it sounds like everything was moving in the right direction for him. So and the nice thing is this doesn't sound like it has anything to do with an injury or having issues with recovery. So that's a positive going in that direction for him.
I shudder to think about who might be a physical miss today. With Justin Ross, Elijah Mitchell, and Trey Watson all out as well. And then you had, what was it, Fulton, as well as Wiley and Jake Brittingstool there, but not participating. And we talked about Brittingstool yesterday, had that full-length sleeve on his right leg. Not sure, don't have a report on what that injury or tweak is. I will tell you that it's not unheard of for a guy that was getting a lot of reps to kind of come up with a little bit of soft tissue, some soreness, something that you want to protect. From the way that I saw him moving yesterday, I'm not terribly concerned. They're just giving him a little time off. But this is exactly what we're talking about, that you have to be prepared for training camp. And this is just a tiny, tiny heads up about what that's going to be.
Well, and then you have FAU, Jalen Moore and Jawan Taylor also limited, along with Jared Wiley, which you already said. So, I mean, there's lots of guys that are missing when you start talking about minicamp. And, FAU, I'm not really concerned about. I think that, he's at least there. Jalen Moore, that seems to be something that is kind of drug on from OTAs all the way through to now minicamp. So you have to wonder if he's going to be healthy and ready to go when training camp starts in a month. And Jawan Taylor's the same kind of thing. He's been limited throughout OTAs as well. So in this instance, you're looking at a situation where maybe a guy like Josh Simmons is getting some more extra reps because you have guys that are not being able to practice. Wanye Morris may be getting some extra reps on the right side. They may be moving a little bit more around on the offensive line than they would have normally if you have those other two guys out there and running with the team.
Yeah. And for those of you that are wondering, why are they keeping 5 tackles right now? Well, that's why. Because everybody's got a little bit of something right now. Obviously, Simmons coming off a significant injury. You want to get him as many reps as you can. And these other players ahead of him in Taylor and more specifically Moore, not being quite ready to go right now, just gives him more reps, gives Wanye more reps, gives Ethan Driscoll more reps. And that's really the name of the game at this point when there's nothing on the line. There's no contact. There's no risk of significant injury. If somebody's injured in this scenario, it's likely a non-contact, which is probably something you can't avoid in the first place anyway. So I think that that's a great time for them to get those reps.
Yeah, and I think the big question, and this is something that we're going to have to be watching, on Thursday, but we're going to also be watching it when training camp kicks off. Where's Joshua Simmons start? Where does Josh Simmons start? Is he going to be the starting left tackle? Is he going to be the second string left tackle? Where are they going to have him lining up when training camp starts? Because it does sound like he is moving around better than most people would have expected, especially coming back from that injury. And I also read that he is at least in contact of some sort with Mitchell Schwarz, and working with him to an extent. So that's interesting in and of itself, and moving in the right direction for potentially having a bigger year and bigger impact in 2025 than we would have originally thought.
That really, really is a conundrum for me. Not that you wouldn't seek out a veteran's experience, especially one of the caliber of Mitch Schwarz. But in my opinion, their games couldn't be very much more different. Simmons plays with strength, plays with his athleticism as his main tools, whereas Mitch was always a lesser athlete and one that had to overcome some technique initially and was a very cerebral player. I don't see that in Simmons. So maybe that's a nice marriage of giving him the other side of the coin.
Well, but you also look at it from the aspect of you have a guy in Mitchell Schwarz that played at a very high level for, I can't even remember how many seasons he played in the NFL, over 10 seasons in the NFL, being one of the best right tackles in football. It still gives him the ability to have somebody that has been in the league, was very successful for a very long time, and gets a different mindset. And it's not somebody that's already on the roster in a Jalen Moore who he's going to be competing against, because that way you're not going back and forth trying to get your pointers from somebody like that. But the other side of it, and the other thing that I thought was interesting is Ian Rappaport was talking about how Kansas City was probably always going to be looking at Josh Simmons in this draft because they felt comfortable about it early on, but that they're feeling like they're getting more of a return than they expected this season because he is showing the ability to go out and do some of these things. And again, I go back to what we said a couple weeks ago. It's great that he's out there for OTAs. It's great that he's doing the limited stuff. It's the question of when the pads come on, is he able to still do it? Because if he is, then that's a much bigger step than what we're seeing right now. And I'm not trying to discount what he's doing right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And the scouting started a long time ago when he was playing on the opposite side of the line in a different school. And so that transition carries through to understand what player you're getting, even if it's a year delayed. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, he can move in OTAs. I shouldn't be too concerned. He can move at minicamp. Okay. What's he going to look like there? I think that's all positives, and they should be patting themselves on the back for sticking to their guns. They had a high grade on him 2 years ago when they first evaluated him, right? So not being scared off by the injury, which was significant. And I know several teams took him off their boards. That's kudos to the front office and the training staff to have the confidence to be able to move forward. And now they're reaping the benefits of it.
Yeah. And this team has shown that they are more than willing to take risks if they believe that the medical condition can be overcome. Look at Trey Smith, their franchise player. Perfect example of the same type of thing. Medical issue that a lot of teams took him off the draft board for. And Josh Simmons was never going to go in the 5th round, but Trey Smith probably should have been, a 2nd or 3rd round pick? I mean, his play was good enough to be a much higher pick than it ended up being because of the heart issues.
Yeah, absolutely. And everybody has to get ready. This is all tooling up to training camp. What will Simmons be able to do? Maybe more than we think, but we're going to look at it coming up next. Next steps are always tough when you leave or finish. It's probably a better word for mandatory minicamp, because the last thing that you got to do before you get out of town is take stock of where you are as an athlete. And that is the conditioning test. Not everybody leaves town happy. I got to tell you,
No.
A lot of guys go away knowing that this is what they have to do for July, is to get those times down so that you can hit that number of gassers in the correct time for your position group and make sure that you're ready to participate in Andy Reid's camp. Always a challenge, and always like that gate that separates when somebody's able to get out there. There will be somebody that misses the first day of training camp because they didn't pass the test. That's job number one that comes next right now. But then that month, it's the time that I hold my breath the most between the end of mandatory minicamp and the opening of training camp. And the dates were announced here. There is a quirk there as well. But this year, I'm hoping, because of all the off-season stuff that we've seen the last couple of years, and because it is a tighter turnaround, maybe we don't have to worry so much about what goes on in July.
Wouldn't that be nice? So we don't have to worry about what's going on in July. I hope the players are able to get away. I hope they're able to enjoy their time and get rejuvenated, especially some of the veterans that have been grinding for the past, especially any of the guys like Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, the guys that have been here for the last 3 or 4 years and have just been on a perpetual grind. I hope they're able to get away, and I hope they're able to take advantage of some of the time off that they're getting ready to get, because this is going to be their last time off for 6, 7, 8 months at this point. And so go enjoy it. Take some much needed rest and recuperation, but don't be stupid about it. That's the big thing. And that goes back to what you talked about. Don't be stupid. Don't go do, I hate saying it this way, don't go do what Rashid Rice did last year. Be smart about what you're doing, and be smart about how you're going to do it, and get ready to play football. Because for a lot of these guys, and we've talked about them in depth, for a lot of these guys, this could mean them having a chance at playing the NFL in general, but it could also mean them having a chance at getting a big contract with the way that this season could go for them.
Well, and I think that this is an optimal time for somebody like Najee Johnson, who has had ups and downs physically, but continues to fight. And if he can change some of the technique, maybe he gives himself a better chance come August.
Well, and not only that, but you can take time off, but still do right for your body. And a guy like Najee Johnson is a perfect example of that. Go take care of your body. Do as much as you can to make sure that you're going to stay as healthy as you can for the entire season. Go get massages on a regular basis. Go do, hot, cold, whatever you think is going to get your body in the best shape and get you ready for the grind of the NFL season. Go get it done. Go take the time off, get your mind out of everything else, enjoy some time away, but take care of your body and make sure it's ready to go when training camp kicks off in just over a month.
Yeah, it's coming up quick. That's what's different is not only is the schedule tighter overall, but as we understand, you're not getting that early 3-day look at quarterbacks and rookies. That transition period that Andy Reid usually bakes into the schedule doesn't appear to be there this year. And I'm not sure whether that's an NFL scheduling thing or whether that's a partial decision between the two parties or whether that's just all Andy Reid saying we're mixing it up. Do you have a gut feeling?
I don't. And I thought it was interesting because I saw that and I was like, wait, there's not a 3-day difference here. Wait. And maybe, although I don't think that this is the case, maybe it's because the QBs and some of the older guys are going to be showing up because they're QBs. That's what they're looking at. But it doesn't make sense to me. I agree with you. It's usually you get 3 days of rookies and QBs, and it doesn't seem to like that's going to be the case this year, which is really a different thing for Andy Reid and the Chiefs. I cannot remember. Man, Reid's been here basically since we've been doing this podcast. I can't remember a time where he hasn't had the rookies and the veterans show up at a different time.
In particular, that you have two new backup quarterbacks. Kudos to Gardner Minshew for coming in and letting it fly. Certainly not a guy afraid to pull the trigger, but you would think that of all years, not having the solid veteran presence, and not to call Minshew soft or unsolid, but not a guy that you thought was a perfect fit for this offense, right? Not a guy that you're like, oh yeah, he's got so much starts under his belt that he doesn't need those 3 days. Like I'm perturbed as to why it's this season that they're not taking that time.
It's really interesting. And it's weird because it's not like I would have thought that if they were going to do something, they would have moved it back even for like July 21st. That seems earlier than I can remember in most cases as well. Like I'm sitting here thinking about this. That doesn't seem, I thought that they were starting usually around the 27th or 28th of July, and it would go through mostly August. I mean, obviously it's going to depend on the preseason schedule and they got to do what they got to do. But this seems a lot earlier for the entire team to be showing up.
Yeah, it really does. And will that pay off? I think so. Will it get them in shape? That is a certainty. But other takeaways for me come down to the question marks being allowed to find their way to an answer. And maybe that's part of it as well, is that, especially for the rookie class, to let them come in and compete and start that A to B comparison right off the bat. Maybe that gives the coaching staff a little bit of an advantage this year that maybe they didn't have last year.
It's just different, and it's going to be curious. I'm hoping that Andy Reid addresses it because I'm sure that there are going to be other people wanting to know why is this the case? Why are you doing it so early, and why don't you have the break for the vets and the rookies? It's not like you look at this team and look at it and say we have so many new veteran players that we feel like we need those extra couple of days. Like that's not even, you can't even argue that that's really the case. Yeah. So it's an interesting change for Andy Reid. And it actually begs the question to me, what else could we be seeing that could be changing for the Chiefs and Andy Reid when they get to training camp?
And that's something we're going to have to run down as we start to get hints as training camp rears its head, as we find out a little bit more. T-minus 26 days to Trey Smith watch. We should find that out ahead of time as well. These are things that are coming up between now and when they go to training camp, and we'll have it all for you. So we appreciate you liking and subbing, becoming part of the Locked On Chiefs family, and checking out the next Locked On show that you're listening to. Well, we appreciate you guys joining us for what is a rare live stream when we do this show. Always a good time. But thanks for being here with us today. Enjoy the rest of your day and the conclusion of minicamp coming tomorrow. We'll have it for you. Have a good night, and we'll talk to you then.